You ever find yourself in the middle of a Saturday afternoon, just raking the shoreline, thinking, this is it, this is as boring as life gets, and then you pull up something so weird. You actually have to stop and wonder if you're on one of those hidden camera shows? Yeah, that was me. It wasn't the pile of sun-bleached shopping carts or the 6 no fishing signs zip-tied together like a cheap bouquet, or even the busted-up lawn chair poking out of the muck that made me freeze. It was the jawbone. White as porcelain. Way too neat for a deer. And get this. Hooked on a stringer full of rusty, padlocked key fobs, like some kind of DIY horror jewelry. That's when I heard it. The rev of a golf cart engine. More like an angry mosquito with a megaphone then. Any real vehicle, right behind me. And then, this voice cracks through a bullhorn. So shrill it could probably make a dog confess to tax evasion. Drop that. Step away from HOA property. This is your final warning. You know the type. My name's Graham Alder. Aggressively ordinary, if we're being honest. A quiet, spreadsheet-loving guy who moved out to Leanan Shore about 6 months back, chasing after scenic water amenities, which, it turns out, is code for a lake with more algae than personality, and a stink that says something definitely gave up on life beneath the surface. Long time ago. I work from home. I don't work out. I'm not that guy jogging with a neon headband or anything. I just mind my own business with the kind of focus you only get from genuinely loving peace and quiet. The house was cheap, the commute non-existent, and I figured, hey, a little green water is a small price for square footage, right? But across the cul-de-sac, ruling over all of us, like a queen with a color-coded binder, is Vivian Rucker, the HOA president, the local legend in a North Face vest, who treats rulebooks like scripture and Ring cameras like personal guardian angels. Vivian's the kind of person who installs motion sensor lights, not for herself, but pointed straight at your driveway. She's got a binder, swear to God, organized by violation, by color tab. Her tote bag at community meetings? It's got her motto on it. Order is property value. She says it like she invented fire. After about 2 months of staring at dead fish floating past my dock and wading through green scum thick enough to walk on, I'd had enough. Bought myself a long-handled rake, one of those blue ones from the hardware store, and a net. Figured I'd help the lake out. Let it breathe a little. That was my first mistake. Apparently, that's when I got promoted from quiet neighbor to public enemy #1, and Vivian's new pet project. It started small. The way all HOA tyrannies do. A $75 fine for unauthorized aquatic disturbance, delivered by certified letter for wave creation during quiet hours. I was out there at 2 p.m. on a Saturday. But according to the bylaws, quiet hours apparently means all hours, 24/7, no exceptions. Then came a laminated notice in my mailbox. Blue rakes, she told me with her best patronizing smile, aren't on the approved lakeside equipment palette. Only beige, tan, or natural wood allowed. And just when you think it can't get more absurd, the surveillance starts. At first, I thought it was just a neighbor's kid messing around with a drone, but suddenly it's got an official-looking HOA sticker slapped on it, and it's hovering over my deck at dawn, catching me pulling beer cans out of the reeds. I waved. It filmed me waving. Then came the compliance squad, 3 retirees in matching polos, following me around with little notebooks, tallying every piece of trash I fished out, like I was running some kind of criminal operation. One morning, I catch Brett from Architectural Review literally crouched in my bushes, measuring my grass with digital calipers. Claims my grass is a 1/4 inch over regulation. I tell him to get a hobby. He tells me to get a lawyer. Next thing you know, the group texts are lighting up, theories flying faster than the algae spreading. Someone says I'm introducing invasive species. Another swears I'm dredging the lake in secret. Some even think I'm dumping chemicals. I mean, you clean up enough junk, and suddenly you're running a secret fish farm in a lake that can barely support algae. And then, Vivian rolls up to my dock one Saturday morning, looking like she's about to shut down a speakeasy, flanked by her 2 most loyal board members and carrying a clipboard thick enough to be a doorstop. She's got on her power vest, navy, sharp, the one she saves for special occasions, like evictions. Cease all lake interference. Immediately, she declares, like she's practicing for a courtroom drama, or we will have no choice but to escalate this to law enforcement. She says law enforcement the way some people say Nuclear option. Her board members nod along, grim as funerals. And honestly, I just smiled, set my rake down. Perfect timing, actually. Because now I've got that jawbone I found earlier, sealed in a freezer bag like some weird museum exhibit. There's a corroded metal plate attached to the key fobs, stamped Lean Insure Maintenance, dated 3 years back. And I point over to the far bank, where the water's so dark and funky you could bottle it and sell it as a prank. I'd snagged a couple more bags in the muck that morning, filled with this fluorescent orange dust, dead bait fish by the dozens, and a bunch of paint cans stamped with the familiar Rucker Property Services logo. Vivian's confidence? Gone. Just like that. She tries to recover, calls the junk historic artifacts. Tells me I'm tampering with community resources. That's about when I whip out my phone and call the county environmental hotline. Vivian, panicking, calls the sheriff, screaming about stolen HOA property and 6 different violations she'll figure out later. So we're all just standing there, breathing in lake funk, waiting for the authorities like it's a block party gone wrong. First up, a deputy who looks like he'd rather be at the dentist. Then a state inspector, then a fish and wildlife truck, and, oh, why not, a local news van, probably tipped off by the phrase hazardous materials on the scanner. The inspector takes one look at the tarped-up bags, gets real serious, starts roping off the scene with yellow tape, snapping photos with a camera that costs more than my car. No one enters the water, he announces. Real authority, the kind that means something. He takes my statement, looks over the jawbone, the key fobs, the paint cans. Then he asks Vivian for maintenance records. She pulls out her prize binder, everything laminated, everything color-coded, like a third-grade science fair project. But the inspector's not playing games. He puts on gloves, wades in with one of those metal-detecting wands, and within 5 minutes, he's found a chain. Leads to a whole grid of tarps hiding a provisional dumping cell, right next to the storm drain. Who authorized this installation? He asks, dead serious. Vivian's brain is working overtime, trying to find the answer that won't blow up in her face. Our contractor, she says, real careful. And the name? He presses. She hesitates, but finally says it. Rucker Property Services. That's her. I helpfully chime in. That's you, right? Because I've seen her truck. I've seen the invoices. The deputy stops writing. Conflict of interest noted. He says, voice so dry you could light a match on it. Ma'am, I'll need you to stay available for more questions. By Monday, the whole lake is a crime scene. Hazmat team rolls up. Truck says hazardous materials response. They start dragging out bags, industrial-sized quantities of orange pavement powder. Banned herbicides so old they should come with a Nixon campaign button, and even a vacuum-sealed bin full of files. Algae treatments billed to the HOA, but never done. Kickback memos, you name it. And that jawbone. Not human, thank God. Fish and Wildlife says it's from a deer. Still gross, but at least not a murder scene. The HOA calls an emergency meeting. Half the neighborhood shows up in person, the rest tune in to a live stream someone set up without asking. Local news van parked right out front. Vivian strolls onto the gazebo in pearls and righteous fury, acting like she's the one under attack. This community, she says, has been undermined by a reckless vigilante, and gestures at me. I just wave. But right then, the inspector steps up, clicks his laptop, and suddenly, there's a projector screen full of photos behind her, garbage bags under tarps, purchase orders with Vivian's signature, bar charts showing lake toxin spikes that match up with every maintenance day. The room turns. Someone boos. Brett tries to disappear into the shrubbery. The inspector keeps going, steady as a metronome. Then the deputy steps up, microphone in hand. Miss Rucker, you're being cited for illegal dumping, falsifying official records, obstruction, and operating an unlicensed waste disposal operation. He turns to me. Mr. Alder, thank you for your call. Standing ovation, believe it or not. People take pictures. News cameras zoom in on Vivian's face as she cycles through red, white, and a purple I've never seen on a human before. Vivian resigns. The next morning, to focus on family, but 2 weeks later, she's at the courthouse in a suit that screams, "Let me speak to your manager." The judge isn't impressed. Slaps her with a $12,000 fine, 2 years probation, and, here's the kicker, 200 hours of community service, cleaning up the very lake she tried to poison. Dressed in an orange vest, so bright you could spot her from space. Her face goes through all the colors again. She opens her mouth, probably to demand to speak to someone higher up, but the judge just taps his gavel. Next. So here's my question. Does justice really mean cleaning up your own mess in front of everyone you tried to control, or is it something deeper? Would you have done what I did, or just kept your head down? Let me know in the comments. And hey, if you've ever had your own HOA horror story, drop it below. Let's see if anyone can top a jawbone and a power-hungry neighbor with a taste for environmental crime.